welcome to the garage. I feel like for anybody who's watched any of my videos, I probably need, or I owe you maybe an explanation, because you're probably thinking here, wait a second. The Voyager over there has got a cover on it. What you're focused on here is not a Voyager. The FC09 is still in your garage. So, I guess the explanation that I owe you and probably my wife is that just picked up a new Versys 1000 SELT Plus. This is a 2021 model, as a leftover that I came across. And this video and the ones that will follow are going to be mostly about making some upgrades. I don't know about upgrades, but maybe adding some accessories to the bike, such as some SW Motech crash bars, engine guards, whatever you want to call them. So anyways, this video here is going to be about adding the crash bars, and they are from SW Motech, as I mentioned, and I really like their stuff. I've got a set of SW Motech engine bars on the FZ09 here, and I just feel like the quality of their stuff is really up there compared to some of the junk that's out there. So like the front slider on that FZ09 are from a company called T-Rex. That front slider, if that wasn't a gift from a family member, I would have tossed it off of a bridge or a cliff or something. It's just the cheapest piece of junk I've ever seen. Some of T-Rex stuff is fine. We put a lowering link from T-Rex on my dad's Tracer, and that thing was just fine. But like those compared to SW Motech sliders, absolute pieces of junk. I personally would not buy those, and I don't recommend them. It's just a very, very, very poor design. So anyways, back to the topic here. So what do you need to do this? So you're going to need some basic tools, but one important tool you're going to need is a torque wrench. And that's my Craftsman torque wrench right there from 2,200 foot-pounds. We do have some engine bolts, and I don't recommend that you try to guess at what 33 foot-pounds feels like, especially when you're putting bolts into aluminum. All right, so you have some Allen keys on the SW Motech parts, so you need some Allen bits, and then just a basic tool set would be good, and a knife to cut with, and maybe Phillips head or a universal tool like that. And so what we'll do is we're just gonna we'll pause and then come back, and we'll just kind of go line by line and install it. There's another video out there where a guy puts this on, I think it's like Moto Andy or something like that, and he does a good video. My only critique is that he does not talk and narrate through it very well, and it's still a good video. I enjoyed watching it, but I'm going to talk a little bit more and tell you what I'm doing and why I'm doing what I'm doing. Now, one thing I did, and I don't even think SW Motech calls for it, and maybe they do, but I do this anyways. When you're pulling things like engine bolts out, like the worst possible scenario and my worst nightmare is that the engine moves. So underneath the oil pan, I did not lift the bike up, but just to support it, I put, and you'll see right here, I put a jack underneath it with a 2x4 cut down and a piece of cloth on top, just because I'm picky. I don't want that engine to fall down. That would be really bad. So anyways, this looks like all the tools I'm going to need. If I need more as we go along, I will tell you. But it looks like it's a pretty straightforward project. So with that, let's get to it. Okay, so the SW Motech instructions say to start with the left side of the vehicle. Now, SW Motech is a German company, and ironically, their instructions come in German on the top, English on the bottom. So I feel like we need to do this in German. I don't know how y'all feel, but so in honor of them, what we will do here is remove the shown nut on the right side of the vehicle, then remove the two shown screws on the left side of the vehicle. So actually, we probably need to do the English ones, because that's going to get real old. And my neighbor's German. He said I could do that, and he said it was funny. So, not offensive. All right, so let's get back to being serious here. we need to remove these two bolts. One is here and one is here, and what they are is bolts that hold the lower part of the fairing on, and it's so that you can get to this bolt right here. I hope you can see it. This is one of the engine bolts. Okay, then you're going to come over here, and this bolt, I'm zooming on it here. This bolt here. Now this bolt, interestingly enough, is goes from the left to the right side, goes all the way through. It's a long bolt. Do not loosen it from the left side. I'll say it again. Do not loosen this bolt from the left side. That's not how bolts are designed to be loosened, because on the other side, on the right side that you can't see yet, is a bolt, is a nut. Okay, so you don't loosen them from this side, so not the left side. Go over on the right side, loosen it up. And then as you're pulling these bolts out, just kind of take a feel to see, like, are they coming out easily, okay? Because if they're not, you might need to find out why. It could be because things are shifting. And then when you pull this out, there is a spacer that I'm gonna grab a hold of here. Let me set this down. Okay. All right. There's a spacer that went in there, okay? So we're just gonna set this down here. All right, so 14 millimeter on that bolt. And then these other ones are both 10s. So let's see if we can get in there. There we go, easy enough. Easy enough. Okay, they came loose. I would say those barely had a couple foot-pounds on them, so keep that in mind when you're tightening these things back up. Okay, so we're gonna pull these bolts out, and the reason you pull this this fairing a little bit is to give yourself some clearance to get to the engine bolt, because if you look right here, this piece actually blocks the main engine bolt right there. It blocks you from getting to it, so you wouldn't be able to get like your torque wrench on it when it's time to do that. I don't know how much it's going to give us when we pull these out, but I'll let you know here in a second. Okay, so yeah, it gives you a little bit of wiggle room. Just keep in mind you've got these little pieces here. This one here goes in the top, in this one. Okay, so that's that. Next one we're going to do is this one right here. This is going to be the important one, to make sure as you back it out that you make sure it's not super tight as you pull it, because it could be a sign that things are trying to shift on you a bit. Okay, so just keep that in mind. All right, so once we get this out, we'll pick back up as we put it back together, or we put the side crash bar on, the left side. Next step, you've got these little U-clamps here, I guess we'll call them. And what it is there's a little bar that runs from front to back, and this goes on here like this, okay? But what you have to do before you put this on is there is a rubber strip that you will see. You have to cut them down to 40 millimeters, okay? And then you take that rubber strip and you stick it inside of here like this. It's got a little sticky peel off I'm going to take off here in a second, and it just creates a little bit of a damper that goes against there, okay? And that's easy enough. If you don't have anything to measure millimeters, 40 millimeters is like 1.57 inches, so a little over 1.5 inches is what they want these cut to, okay? So we're going to put these on, and then we're going to start mounting it. I can tell you when I pulled the engine bolt out, there was no resistance. It's what I wanted, and it's coming out smoothly. I don't pull that out until I'm ready to put this back together, and then we'll talk about the order, because you've got spacers and stuff here that we got to play with. But here is the old bolt that came out of the engine. Here's the new one. You can see it's a bit longer. So there is going to be some spacers that you're going to have to prepare for. And if you have spacers left over when you're done with this, there's going to be a problem. So, all right, let's keep moving. Okay, so we've got the left side crash bar on, and easy enough. We torqued the main engine bolt here, about 32 foot-pounds, 33 foot-pounds, which is what it calls for in the service manual. These little bolts that go on this little bar here, about 7 foot-pounds. And this back one here we have not tightened yet, because that has to go all the way through. And then there's a bolt that's going to go on the other side. But just following the instructions here, it's easy enough. You just place the spacers. The only thing to take note is, like, if you don't have lights or some other kind of accessory that also can mount to this area here, and by here I mean the front engine bolt, engine mounting bolt. you're going to have to use 3 spacers, and they have them numbered out here pretty easy enough. And we just followed that. It was a number 10, a number 11, and a number 12, because I don't have any of those lights or any accessories on the front that also use that bolt. So easy enough. They're really solid, and they went on really nicely. So we're going to move on to the right side and then finally start to wrap it up. One other thing you're going to need is blue thread locker. They want you to put it on the engine bolt, and they want you to put it on these little support bolts here that go on this this bar. So anyways, and then there's a little, I don't know what you want to call it, there's like a little thing that fills the hole here. I recommend with a rubber handheld sledge, just kind of popping that in real lightly. It goes in easy enough, but if you try to put that in once it's on the bike, it could be kind of a pain. So anyways, left side just about done. We're going to move on to the right, so keep going. Congratulations for making it to the end of the video here. We're done with this project. I would say that from beginning to end, maybe like an hour worth of work. It's not hard. Some of it was made a little bit longer by making videos and stuff like this, and kind of setting things up to record a job like this. But since you made it to the end of the video, I will tell you that if you are a little more advanced in your skills, and you have things like torque wrenches and know how to use them, and you change your own oil and are a little bit mechanically inclined, I would say that the average person could tackle this without too much trouble. The instructions are good, and it's not too bad. So anyways, what tools do you need to do this? I'm just going to kind of go over a quick list. You're going to need a ratchet with an extension. You need a 10 millimeter. You need a 14 millimeter, a 15 millimeter, and a 17 millimeter to do this job. Okay, you're going to need 2 sizes of Allen keys here, and 5/16 and an H5, and then a torque wrench is going to be really important. Don't do this job and try to guess at what 33 foot-pounds is, because you don't know. And when you use thread locker, a lot of times that can give you kind of a false perception of how tight things are, okay? Because it does lubricate the bolt going in. And they do call for thread locker on the engine bolt, and then on the little bolts that go to that that horizontal, we'll just call it a bar. You need so basically 6 bolts in total will need thread locker. So you need a some kind of knife that's sharp to cut down the rubber pieces. There, it is not cut when you get it. You need to get it, you need to measure 40 millimeters and then cut them, okay? The only leftover parts you should have are the ones that you took out of the motorcycle. Left and right engine bolts, okay, right here. And then this through bolt that you've replaced with the longer one that's in there now, okay? So if you have more parts than that left over, you might want to look at your instructions again and see where you went wrong, okay? So, but anyways, I think they're really good looking. I love their products. You know, just touching them, like the finish, really nice powder coating job. Would be difficult to touch up if you scratched them and make it look like they do, because they just look good. And I think it's really good protection for a motorcycle like this, because you can, you know, if it fell over, you know, I'm not even talking about wrecks, you know, if someone knocked it over in the parking lot, this would save thousands of dollars in damage, you know. So, and beyond that, I think they look good. Like even looking at the ones on the FZ09, and these are more robust, because you can see the FZ09 is just a kind of a simple a bar, but I think it would be effective, especially how far it sticks out. And I thought it maybe would be too bulky, or I don't know, but I think they look good. And I actually get compliments on them. People will see them and be like, "What is that? I like that." But these, you know, kind of have that adventure / sport touring kind of look, and they're good. So we're not going to ramble on here, but you kind of get an idea what it looks like. Coming up, I've got more parts coming in, and it's going to be Christmas in my household, because I've got the front radiator SW Motech guard coming in, and I've got the adventure box going on the back here, and everything that goes along with that. So I think that's going to make the bike kind of complete. and I'm going to do videos of doing those things. They look like pretty simple jobs, but nevertheless, we'll make a video that that outlines how we do it. So anyways, hey, look, if you got any questions, as always, don't hesitate. If you run into a problem putting these on your bike, you know, feel free to reach out in the comments, and I will definitely do what I can to help you. I would say that your average person can do this. You know, it's not too bad. And I won't ramble on too much about that. But, you know, if you take it to a dealer, it's going to be whatever it costs. And then at least double, maybe more. You know, they're all working for $100 an hour now. So anyways, you can do it. Just follow the instructions. And I can't say it enough, get a torque wrench. They're not expensive. The one I have is a Craftsman. It even comes with a certificate of calibration right out of the box. And I've got a couple older ones from Harbor Freight for things I don't care about. But you know, you can get them for $15, $20. The Craftsman one will run you right now about 50 to 80, something like that. It's not too bad, especially considering what you're putting that bolt into. You know, I would take it very seriously that it needs to be in there right. So anyways, hey, thanks for watching, and as always, any comments, critiques, questions, throw them in the comments, but be nice. No, I'm just kidding. Don't be nice. Hey, thanks again.